They said that we want to create something at the exposition towards the end.
The programming that he did, which is having the same effect, but the truss and lighting not on stage.
One was to bring out the architecture of the monument, and two was to also do a narrative. So we have the entire Se Cathedral in full 3 dimension with us.
What is the total square footage?
What they have also performed is something very new.
But there's crowds just coming in, people calling up and cancelling their programs and all rushing here.
It's something you cannot fathom until you're here.
Well, hello and welcome to a very special episode, and we are at the St. Francis Xavier exposition at the Old Goa, and I have with me a couple who's been an integral part of something that has fascinated a lot of people and has become a hallmark for the visitors here, especially in the evenings. I have with me Elvis Dice and also Sharon Dice with us from MO Group. Elvis, Sharon, first of all, how has been the response? Because you have been an integral part, and all of a sudden come December end, there was another fascinating thing happening at Old Goa Church for a lot of people to come and witness an amazing thing here. How has been that experience?
I think it has been very uplifting for us as well, and the way it was conceptualized by the Commissioner of the Secretariat and the Deputy Chairman of the Committee, and even Father Henry, who was a convener. They said that we want to create something at the exposition towards the end, which will be like an icing on the cake.
Okay.
And that was exactly what was the brief given to us. And in order to make it spectacular, we sort of, dipped into our creative box and came up with, all that we could to make this event really spectacular. Not only for the projection that was happening on a daily basis, but also for the Shillong Chamber Choir that performed on the 27th, because that also featured a number of 3D projection backdrops that were designed specifically for each song on the set list. And that was something that after the concert and after the first showing of the premiere that happened on the 25th night, that is after the midnight mass, people were spellbound after what they saw. They said that this is something we have seen internationally and probably for the first time in Goa. So projection mapping has happened, but not on this scale and at this level. And what I would like to add specifically is that to do projection mapping with a concert performance in the foreground is a first in the world.
Oh.
It has not happened anywhere in the world because the sound logistics and the lighting logistics, we literally had to, get into some kind of an innovation to make that happen.
I think we'll go into the details of it. I still understand, Elvis, you have a little background of video editing, graphic designing. Sharon, you come from a human resource background.
Yes, that's right.
How come you are part of such an entertainment related company, and creating such beautiful storytelling which are unique to in itself?
I guess my administration skills plays an important role also during the events. And I look after even the finance.
Okay.
So we both together, we combine that, and that's what the outcome is, as you see.
Okay, let us go to the story where it started. I believe the Secretariat wanted something special, something spectacular, as you mentioned. Yes. How has been the process once, did you approach, did the government come to you and say, we want to do something, and it will become an USP? How did that journey of, creating this unique storytelling on the walls of Se Cathedral, happened?
So the Secretariat had already planned to do something spectacular, and they had called for various presentations, as I had said. And when we presented our idea as to what we wanted to do, they said that that's something probably we would like to take forward. And the Secretariat already wanted to get the Shillong Choir.
Okay,
that was not something. It was already arranged. But what we added to the entire storyline was let the Shillong Choir perform right here.
Oh.
In front of this backdrop.
So you decided the location.
The location,
venue,
the venue,
Yes.
the venue. And though that was a challenging part as to how we will do it here, but I think with a fantastic administration that the Exposition Secretariat had, they really made things possible. They understood the vision that it can really be an icing on the cake, and they crossed all boundaries to make it happen.
Okay.
And that's how we could actually do something so spectacular. Yeah.
Okay, Sharon manages the human resource. Sharon, tell me what is the strength of the team here? What is the count that actually
You're talking about our team?
Yeah, of course, the
Yeah,
entire
our
team
team-
that creates this magical output.
Yeah. We may be around 25 people, 25 of us. So, like for lighting, we had some, and then we had for the sound and the administration part of it. We also had a team who looks after all the licensing and everything for this event. So that's how we got about it. And most important, I would like to say is this event, what we did, the stage, is something very unique. If you notice that you'll find no truss around, which was even a little surprise to the choir
Body, yeah.
itself.
Oh.
They were not very, they were not so sure that we
It's
would,
gonna work.
that it's going to work.
Okay.
But it's just Elvis who has thought about it and designed everything, that we had all the lights possible, but not on stage.
Okay.
That is what is important. The programming that he did, which is having the same effect, but the truss and lighting not on stage, so that it doesn't disturb the projection view.
Oh,
So that's what's
fantastic.
important, yeah.
So that
That's what
was-
we achieved.
Okay, so that was something unique that happened, and people who have who came here and witnessed that the performance, I think, have been always mesmerized
Yes.
throughout, and a lot of
Yes,
people
yes.
were speaking so much highly about Shillong Choir concert. Also, when you project something on the wall, I understand when you project in a movie theater,
Right.
you have to see the screen. There
Yeah.
has to be certain quality.
Right.
There has to be certain projection.
Right.
It has to be luminous.
Lumens.
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 Sorry.
Lumens.
Lumens is
Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
matters, and
The
what
brightness.
is brightness that,
Yeah,
that
we
is
measure
required.
that in something called LUX.
So how
Lux.
can you think? I mean, when it was decided to putting a canvas, understanding this canvas, understanding the shape, size, and the architecture that goes into it, and also doing a seamless projection.
Yeah.
Considering there are a lot of challenges as well,
Yes.
not just the shape and the size, but also maybe the windows, maybe the loopholes that are there.
Yes.
How was that part of the story?
Yeah, so you have to essentially, to start the entire process, you have to 3D map it. So we had to actually do an entire 3D model. So we have the entire Se Cathedral in full 3 dimension with us. We can actually rotate the whole cathedral, and look at every side, and my art team can even measure every window, every facade. They know the size of the beam,
The pillars.
So the pillars, everything is measured in 3D. So when we take our creative, we wrap it around that, and then we unwrap it to create the map, and then it is wrapped back
Again.
again. So that's the encoding process. So that's a long process. So it requires a lot of computation.
And to design it a video format, I'm still trying to understand what would be the format that is there in terms of storytelling, in terms of that 5-minute video clip that you do. That itself, designing on a system first,
Yes.
with your 3D mapping,
Yes.
then converting it,
Yes.
and then projecting on such a larger scale.
Yes.
And how is that challenging?
So it is actually the most important challenge was because most of the projection mapping happens face front. You have your projectors on a truss right in front, and the projectors are facing right. But if you see, our projectors are on extreme left and extreme right.
Correct.
And that gives us an image when our art team, and even myself, and I've also worked on a number of graphics over here. It gives us an image which everything is at an angle. It's not straight.
Yes.
So even when we are designing, even when I'm doing text, it's at an angle. When I'm doing a visual, it's at an angle. When I'm doing a Christmas ball or a decoration, it's at an angle. So we actually have to conceptualize that angle, design it, and then it gets straight when it is projected.
Okay.
So that calibration happens prior to the designing stage. So there's a mapping canvas that's created, and then there's a creative canvas that's created over that.
What is the square footage that was entirely conceived? Because I can see, as you rightly said, there is front footage.
Yes.
Also, there are side
Side
footages,
footage,
and you
yeah.
have to do a proper projection for the audience who's
Absolutely.
watching it.
Absolutely.
What is the total square footage
So
or
if you
square
look,
meters? How do you calculate?
So if you look at the front face here, from left to right, it is 260 feet. The tower is about 100 feet. So that's about 26,000 square feet. And you take the side, so that will go up to around 36,000 because it's like huge space. And the sides are equally interesting. If you look at the if you look at the presentation, the sides are equally interesting. You know, so about 36,000, I would say. square
Okay.
feet.
Speaking about the Shillong Choir concert, you know, as you rightly said, you know, you did for every song you had a projection, a different projection,
Yeah.
complementing to their style,
Yeah.
and also complementing to the background that is happening. I think the
Absolutely.
best part of that, you know, entire concert was, of course, it was Shillong concert coming
Yeah.
down, for, you know, for the first time maybe in Goa,
Right.
performing at such a, you know,
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah.
But also the kind of mood that you guys set up.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it was perfect for, it was complementing
Right.
perfectly. You know, did you sit with them? Did you decide, you know,
Yeah.
what was the thought process for that?
So again, the Shillong Choir was not involved in the thematic content that was created for the backdrops, because as I said, it's something you cannot fathom until you're here. And they only arrived a day before their performance, you know, and when they actually saw the backdrop,
Did the sound
Then
check?
they realized.
then
what-
they realized
Did
what
they
we are talking
do a
about.
sound check earlier?
Yes, they did a sound check.
So
yeah.
they kind of were
Yeah.
confident
Yes.
enough. I mean, they had
Yeah.
seen prior.
And
It
even
was
if
not
you
a surprise for them on that particular day.
True. But even if you see their post, which has been put up just today on Facebook and YouTube by the Shillong Choir, they have actually gone to say that it was the backdrop, the 3D projection backdrop, that gave the setting, truly lifted up the entire setting. They have mentioned it in their post today. So they have actually understood that, you know, what they have also performed is something very new, not done till in the last 20 years. They have written there, not done in the last 20 years that they have been performing.
Okay. One more thing is, you know, how many projectors
Yeah.
are there? Is there one projector, two projector, three projector? How many
Yeah, so we are
projectors
using 6
here?
projectors right now,
Okay.
but they are
Across.
very high-end projectors. So they are about nearly about 45,000 lumens.
Okay.
So that's a very high luminescence lumens projectors, and they're laser. So you get you can get projectors which are non-laser, and you get laser. So these are laser projectors, 4K, 4K that we are using,
So
and we're
4K
using.
laser projection is what we are seeing. That's the
Yes.
reason it is so precise
Yes.
and, you know, to the point.
Yes.
clear.
Yes.
Also, you know, I just happened to hear that, you know,
Yeah.
there is some Ed Sheeran connection also at this particular thing. Is what if you can spill the bean? Because I heard something about it. I was really
Yeah,
curious
so-
to ask you about.
Yeah, so essentially, you know, if you look at the sound tower on the left and you look at the right sound tower and you measure the feet, it's about 400 feet. And for a sound engineer, putting 2 sound towers 400 feet away is a very big challenge. So we actually had to do simulation, run simulation on the ground to find out what kind of configuration will fill up the space, and where will be the drop points, where will we lose the decibels, what will be the microsecond delay from left to right, how do we compensate for that delay. So all that calculations were done prior to us coming on ground. And for that, we are using a system which is like brand new, just come to India about 4 months ago. It's called the Coda system. It's a German system. When Ed Sheeran actually does his live shows, he asks for Coda.
Okay.
So you've got a Coda system here on the grounds right now for this event. The same system that an Ed Sheeran would be using for his live shows.
Concerts.
For his concerts, yeah.
Okay. Both of you, a very specific question is, what is the best compliment that you have received? I know you guys are behind the scenes.
Yeah.
People would look at the, you know, facade or the wall and, you know, say, wow, what a, you know, mesmerizing performance or projection. But then again, you know, you are hardly maybe seen. It took us quite some time to find out the people behind this particular projection. So I really want to understand is people who have seen, witnessed, how was, what is the response that you have got? Or maybe a compliment, both of you separately, because I feel Sharon doesn't speak much. Because she's managing the human resource. You first, Sharon.
I feel the biggest compliment is when people tell us that, you know, they have seen something which they have never ever seen, not just in Goa, but they've even said they have not seen it internationally. They may have seen projection mapping, but in such a huge kind of a monument, it is something very rare. And I would say, not only just the video mapping that is done on the monument, it is the big stage that we designed without a truss and the artist performing in front, where that stands as a backdrop.
The full choir.
Of
it's
the
just
full
not
choir
the
stands
band,
yes, stands in front and with the as a backdrop, the monument as a backdrop. So I feel that's a great achievement. And what also makes me happy is when I see, like today is the last day of this mapping, projection mapping, but there's crowds just coming in, people calling up and cancelling their programs and all rushing here just because they heard that something is going on here. So that gives us real pleasure. It's just pleasure.
Always.
Okay, so before I speak about what I have to say, if you think that Sharon is only HR and admin, while we were checking the track that accompanies the St. Francis Xavier mapping, okay, at the start, I could hear a synthesizer sound to me, but she says it's distortion. And we had this, argument amongst ourselves, and she's saying it's distortion, and I kept saying it is synthesizer because I'm used to a lot of synth sounds, okay, but she said it is distortion. And we went back to our producer who was actually producing the track, and she said it is distortion, and he checked it, he said, I can't hear it. Oh yes, it is distortion. And that's how she got the track rectified. So on that count, yes, okay, so she has a ear for music as well.
That's really
But
nice.
I must say, I must give credit to the entire exposition committee. They gave us due credit from the stage. And for that, we are very grateful to the convener, Father Henry, to Sandeep Jacks, who's the commissioner, and to the deputy chairman, Honorable Minister Alexio, who gave us credit for all the work that we have done. And we are truly, truly grateful to them for recognizing our work. That's all. And then the accolades from everybody.
No, I'm really tempted to ask because I've crossed my fingers. There came any moment in this entire episode that you felt oh, what if, what not, any back thought, or maybe planning for the worst, maybe kind of having a plan B backup. Was there any moment?
I don't,
because it was such a scale, and you're catering to such a large audience.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That confident.
Yeah, very confident, especially this event, because we were having it in our church grounds, and maybe we said a prayer to St. Francis Xavier. So that's why maybe we had real confidence here. Unlike, to be very true, unlike certain events, we definitely have some. We try to make a backup for something else. So that's.
But this was
something different.
Completely hitchless.
Completely.
And then we had the support of the committee that came to our rescue. If at all small things were in between, they would always say, "Don't worry, we will take care of it." I mean, on the ground, like certain small things.
And as you rightly said, today is the last day. How are you looking forward? In terms of again entertaining a lot of people, making an impact, creating, getting, or maybe more importantly, getting a canvas like this.
Yes.
That is what is more important.
But we can also create a canvas, sir.
Of course.
We can also create one.
Of course, creating a canvas is way easier because you have a certain area to work on. But when you have this kind of a architectural heritage monument, that is
so that was another point I wanted to mention, is that most projection mapping, you actually bring out the architecture of the monument. But here we had two things. One was to bring out the architecture of the monument, and two was to also do a narrative. So there were two things that we had to do with it. It was just not just bringing out the architecture. So we had to bring out the narrative as well and bring those components. So if you see some of the visuals that we have got on St. Francis Xavier, we have put up certain visuals of dedications done to St. Francis Xavier from across the globe. Whether it is in Rome, whether it is in Malaysia, all that is featuring.
So a lot of efforts were put in terms of storytelling. What has been played on the walls. That is what is more important.
Yes,
I think, as I rightly say, I am looking forward for MO Group to entertain us, surprise us, and work on maybe a larger, maybe this scale canvas.
I was thinking of doing a sphere.
Oh, of course. I mean, you are the creative person. You understand better. There is, and she has perfectly supported the team. And of course, it is at the end of the day what we see on the walls is the team effort that we put. Always, Sharon, it was pleasure talking to you. And I think I couldn't have a better moment because we are, putting the curtains down today after the show. And that is where we head. And looking forward to see a lot of work from your side. Me as well as my viewers. And I think all the Goans watching this particular program. So
besides the St. Francis Xavier, we also have a Christmas special after that.
Yes, of course.
So please have a look at that as well.
No. Sure. Pleasure.
Take care. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.